Welcome to this week's installment of AutoAudiography. 3 in a row. I can say that word now. I didn't think too much about this one. I didn't even know what album I was going to do this on this morning. I didn't even know what album I was going to do this on an hour ago. I have a bunch that I'm going to do, but I didn't know which one I was going to do this time. So I snagged one, and this one will be the Casualties on the Frontline. This is a hardcore punk band, street punk, if you will, band. The Casualties. This is their fifth album. Their second on Side One Dummy Records, I believe. It was released in 2004, re-released in 2005 with the vocals re-recorded in Spanish, which is the mother tongue of the lead singer Jorge with a J. Here's the front. There you have the band. I don't remember all their names. I know that is George. That's the lead singer. I think that's Rick, the bassist. That might be Meggers. One of them's name is Meggers, I believe. I used to know all their names. Here's the little lyric sheet and some photos. George, Jake, Rick, and Meggers. Jake's on guitar, Rick's on bass, Meggers on drums. This particular pressing is on green vinyl. I don't know if you can make out the color too well. Transparent green vinyl. As you can probably tell, I love colored vinyl. But to the album itself. Once again, I'm going to talk as if you've seen at least the Anti-Flag one. So, picking up for where Anti-Flag left off, where I was looking for something to rebel against, and with no structure in my household, with no structure from my parentals, with no real structure from anything outside of school, which in and of itself was not that, testing for me. It was easy, so I was bored. I rebelled against the system, against society, just looking for something to rebel against. Politically, if you will. Too young to even know anything about politics, but I dove in head and shoulders. I think I read the Federalist Papers when I was 13. I read books about Marxism, fascism, socialism, government in our day. I read old government books, new government books. I just wanted to get involved as I could and try to know as much as I could about what I was trying to rebel against. But the Casualties on the Frontline, whereas Anti-Flag delivers rebellious punk music with a positive message, the Casualties on the Frontline pretty much just shakes that tree down, tears it down. It's rebellious punk music, but it's almost violent punk music, if you will. I know I referred to Throwdown as hardcore punk. This is closer to hardcore punk. I think this is hardcore punk. Throwdown sometimes considered, that's more hardcore. This is hardcore punk. It's just faster than punk. The vocals are screeched and screamed as opposed to kind of just out of tune sung with most punk bands. This album was a constant in a CD, in my CD player. I had it on CD, and actually, it was actually, I call him my brother. We're not really related, but we're that close that I call him my brother. My brother borrowed the CD one day, and I think broke it. And for a long time, I was upset. I never showed it. I never told him, but I was upset that it was broken or he lost it. Something happened, but that's how much I liked and loved this album. It was a constant go-to if I was angry. It was a constant go-to if I wanted to hear something heavier than what I've been listening to. Because up until Anti-Flag, the heaviest I really listened to was a little hardcore, a little more faster punk rock. I never really got into the more hardcore or the metal outside of your originators like Black Sabbath. But this was my first foray, if you will, I guess, into a lot heavier and a lot faster and a lot more aggressive. And there's another funny story that goes along with a song of this album. I was in a band, started a band for a very short time. We were called Screaming at the Deaf Kid. I know, it's a phenomenal name. You don't have to tell me. We were called Screaming at the Deaf Kid, which basically because our one guitarist was deaf, could not hear a thing. So The original, I think our original name was All Lives Lost, just a generic metal band name. And not really doing anything original. We just wanted to get together and play, and we did a lot of covers. Played like 2 or 3 charity shows. But during practices, we would just be screaming at the guitar. So we would all stop, but he would continue to play guitar because he could not hear. So Scream the Deaf Kid became our name. And out of the myriad amount of covers we did, the song called Unknown Soldier, which is basically a story about a kid named Joey who joins the military. It's very political. It's very anti-army, if you will. I recommend that track more than a lot on this album because that track kind of has some harmonized melodies and some harmonized chants during the chorus. Some of the other ones are kind of more wild. There's a song called Static Feedback and Noise on this, which basically means we don't want soft music, we don't want acoustic, we don't want clean, we want static feedback and noise. A song called Leaders of Today, where it's we are the leaders of today, the kids, the punks, the streets, we are the leaders. Tomorrow Belongs to Us, obviously self-explanatory. Every song on here has a chorus that you could just chant and that it just grabs you. And I think that the aggressiveness of this album helped me from being more aggressive. I think that this was my outlet aggressively. I didn't have to be angry. I didn't have to be mad because all I could do is turn to this and hear the aggression and channel my aggression from maybe something small in my life to being mad at the government, which is where a lot of my anger was. A lot of as I was a kid, spouting corruption and whatnot. There was a time where I was doing a lot of political writings and I was way too young to probably understand it. I wish I still had some of them because I would like to read them. I did something. I remember I printed like 200 sheets of it up. It was called like a manifesto on conformity or something. It was like a page and a half. And I put a strange font as the title and typed something up, and I just like would leave it places and just hand it out. I tried starting like a collective, if you will, or some type of club. It was called the YSBBB, the Youth Striving to Beat Biased Beliefs. And I mean, I had a lot of gumption. Once I would start something, I would be like, well, let's do something else. And I think if I would have followed through on anything that I did, it may have been a little successful. I kind of still regret not doing more with the YSBBB, if you will, because I think there's a lot of biased beliefs when we look at youths and when we look at the younger generation because we see what they go through. We've done it. We've went through it. We change. Everybody changes. But I think we need to appreciate kids more for what they are at the moment as opposed to what they're going to be. Because what they are at the moment is making them who they're going to be. And if we're constantly running down who they are, maybe they never find out who they're going to be. I mean, on the plus side of the lack of structure for me, there was also, I mean, yes, there was no structure and there was no discipline and there was none of that, but it allowed me to figure out who I was. And I don't know if a lot of kids would have made the same positive decisions I did had they had that structure or I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it was the best, but maybe it was the best parenting system for me. I was able to parent myself, if you will. I was able to make informed decisions. I was able to make educated decisions about things I was doing because in order to come up with a solution, I wanted to investigate. I wanted to know. And I get scared sometimes when I see some other kids or when I think about when I have kids, will they be able to make those same decisions? Even though I will be in their life, will they be able to make the same decisions? Because I know some people who wouldn't have made and who didn't make the same decisions I did. And they're either not with us anymore today or I don't know what they're doing. But I don't know how talking about casualties on the front line got me into a hypothetical situation about me parenting. I'm glad we got there, though. I'm horrified to have kids. My hope is that my kid is smart enough to be, if that makes any sense. Let's move on from that. Casualties on the front line, very aggressive, very political. If you like punk music, if you like a little heavier stuff, Give this a listen. Let me know how you feel. I think this album still does hold up as a hardcore punk album. I'm not saying this is, Dark Side of the Moon, which I don't like. So you will not see that pop up. I'm not a Pink Floyd fan, so that may just turn people off of me automatically. I don't, I'm good. I understand they're good. I understand they're talented. I get it. It's just not for me. But if you're into punk music, Casualties on the front line. I loved it. There is a video somewhere of me horribly singing Unknown Soldier because I was the lead vocalist, horribly screaming, if you will. Maybe I'll try to, I don't know, find a link to that and throw it in the bottom if you're interested in seeing that. I have a weird little ponytail. Oh man, it's a rough time. I wish the shirt I was wearing in that video, I actually still have it, but it's like a gym cutoff now. I wish I would have wore it for this video. But horrible camo pants and weird ponytail, probably some weird wristbands. The Casualties were also a big influence on me, fashion-wise, if you will. You saw the vest from the Anti-Flag video, but I also had an 18-inch mohawk at one point. It was only spiked maybe 3 times that I had. I had it for like 3 months. It was maybe only spiked 3 times because it took so much. It took me, 3 of my friends, and one of my buddy's sisters to spike it. And it was such a work. And if I was in a car, I had to be in the car with my head out the window like this. If I had to walk through doors, I had to duck down. It was just huge. And I loved it. I loved going out with it. I wore, I had the regalia, the punk regalia. I wore chains, some, straps, a leather jacket. I had a trench coat that I customized everything. I put pyramid studs on everything and patches because that's what you did. Do it yourself culture. So punk culture, obviously, we're through, what did I do? 3 of these already? And 3 of them are pretty close to the same genre. The next one I'm going to try to switch it up a little bit, do a different genre, because these all seem to be punk albums. Throwdown, not so much, but Casualties and Anti-Flag are pretty similar, genre-wise and message-wise. So next one, I'll probably switch it up, do a different genre. Look out for that. Casualties on the front line, give it a listen. Let me know what you think. And thank you. No, I don't like that hand. I don't like the light on that. Back to this hand. Okay.